Nearly 50 years ago, when I was much younger and not so wise, I had an experience I will never forget. It is as vivid today in my mind and soul as it was the moment it happened. That's how life-changing it was for me. My wife and I were lying in bed. Let's just say I wasn't entirely sober, and suddenly something happened that was much more than a vivid dream, more than a runaway imagination. I found myself walking in a place of utter darkness along a narrow path. On either side of me, shadowy figures reached out with claw-like arms, trying to pull me into their even darker realm. I knew if I strayed even an inch to the left or the right, they would have me. I walked step by step, terrified, struggling to stay on that narrow line. Finally, in desperation, feeling myself falling into their grasp, I cried out, "God help me." And at that moment, the darkness shattered. A blazing light engulfed everything. Those shadowy figures screamed in agony and fled. And then, descending in glory, was a radiant throne, with a figure holding a scepter, and around it the sound of voices unlike anything I had ever heard. And here's the part that still gives me chills. At that exact instant, my wife, lying right beside me, also heard the same glorious sound. She didn't see what I saw, but she heard what I heard. And together we both breathed out, "Wow." When I later read the prophets, I was floored by how much their visions echoed what I had experienced. Ezekiel saw the likeness of a throne, and upon it the likeness of a man, radiant with fire and brightness all around. Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. Daniel described the Ancient of Days, his throne, fiery flames, with 10,000 times 10,000 before him. Daniel chapter 7, verses 9 and 10. Isaiah heard the seraphim cry, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." Isaiah chapter 6, verse 3. Now, was what I saw prophecy? No. Rambam is very clear. Prophecy requires wisdom, holiness, and a sober, disciplined mind. That was not me at that moment in my life 50 years ago. But what I experienced was something our sages call a 70th of prophecy, a glimpse of the same current that runs through our tradition. The Hasidic masters would say this wasn't random at all. The Baal Shem Tov taught, "Where a person's thoughts are, that is where they are entirely." On that dark path, my thoughts were pulled into fear and shadows, but the moment I cried out, I was entirely in that cry, and the husks fled, and the light broke through. Rebbe Nachman of Breslov gave us his famous line, "The whole world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is not to be afraid." My vision was literally that, a narrow bridge, shadows on every side, and the terror of falling off. But the moment of fear became the moment of salvation. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe would remind us, don't obsess over whether it was prophecy or hallucination. The real question is, what did it teach you? What do you do with it now? And here is the core lesson that burned itself into me that night. Stay on the path. Don't veer left or right. Cry out to the source when the darkness presses in, and the light will scatter the shadows every single time. I don't share this story lightly. It was frightening, humbling, and beautiful all at once. But maybe the reason I had it was so I would never forget, and so I could remind you that all of us walk a narrow bridge between light and dark. All of us feel the shadows trying to pull us down, and none of us can make it across by our own strength. But the cry of the heart, that cry for help, that turning to the eternal, opens the heavens. The light breaks in, the darkness flees, and sometimes, if we're lucky, we even get to hear the voices of glory. This is Shmuel ben Shlomi wishing you shalom.